Hello, Hoovians, and welcome back to the third channel. Now, today is a very special interview. Yes, I said that right. I am back with more glorious interviews. Now, my guest today is best known as one of Scotland's most beloved comedians. It's the one and only Raymond Mearns.
Hello, how you doing?
All right. So we'll start at the very beginning. How did you get into comedy?
How did I get into comedy? I originally, I suppose I wanted to be a musician, so I'm a guitar player. And when I was at university, I played my guitar, I had a band, and I also did some acting at university. I was a member of the theatre group. And there's, I think it's very difficult to make a living as an actor and a musician. And I think I just fell into comedy. Nobody sets out to be a comedian, right? You become one through it's accidental. You kind of I never when I was younger, I never thought that's what I want to do. I want to be a comedian. You become a comedian by default or through failing in other areas of the arts. That's how I got into it.
And was there any programs that what or anything you did as a child, like watching like theatre TV, that inspired you to go forward into the world of art?
Um, that's a good question. No, I mean, nothing and everything. I mean, I was very shy as a child, and I was very kind of withdrawn, and probably kind of undiagnosed, kind of mild autism or something, because my son had been diagnosed with a sort of Asperger's, and my mother at the time, she said to me, "That's just exactly what you were like as a child." And I went, "But they never knew back in the 70s, and they didn't pick that up." So I digressed. The point was, I was quite shy and withdrawn, and I always had a feeling I wanted to be an artist of some description. I use the term loosely. So whether that be an actor or a musician or a performer, I just wanted to do that. I don't know where it came from. I've no idea. But I always wanted to do it.
Yeah,
But I never thought I would end up doing comedy. That was never on the radar. I thought, could I be an actor? Could I be a musician? That seemed more, that was more tangible
yeah,
rather than being a comedian didn't seem fully formed, that idea.
yeah. And one of the things you've done lately that's incredible, is the podcast God's Guitar. How did that come about?
Well, that's easy. I mean, it's my father. I mean, he's just an objectionable old. It's like Catherine Tate's old granny character. It's like I'm sure it's not specific to Glasgow. That character, it's it's an old, miserable, objectionable old guy who he's made an arse of his life, so he spends the remainder of his life pouring his pain over everybody else, especially his son.
Mm.
And he's never satisfied, never happy. Every time his son's got a dream, he steps on it as if it's a cockroach and brings him down to size, cuts him down to size, because it kills him
Yeah,
to see anybody being happy or successful. He's one of these people who's a miserable old sod, and he wants to bring everybody down to his level to make him feel better. You understand that?
yeah. And
That's who he is. He's my father.
And because of the success of podcasts turning into TV shows, do you reckon that the podcast would be able to become like a really good BBC Scotland program?
Well, that's what I understand is that when someone's writing a script for a film or a sitcom, the ones that work best are when the characters are real. So the answer to the question is, I suppose it could do, but that's for somebody else to maybe. That's for a team to be built around us and something to happen. And if that would happen, it would be beautiful. And funny enough, I just had a conversation this morning with a young filmmaker who thinks he would like to try and make some sort of short film
Yeah,
using the character and his son. And if we could do that, that would be magic, that'd be great. And we do something, put it out there, and then show everybody what's possible. If that was to happen, that would be beautiful. Um, and we'll see if we can create that, the make those connections with people. And if they think I could do something with that, there's a sitcom in this or something, then brilliant. And if that was to happen, that would be beautiful. But right now, we're just having some fun doing the Glasgow thing. There's a lot more work goes into it than in the background than you see. I mean, Stuart specifically, the guy who plays my son, he works like hell to get all this put together. And we have a producer and a recordist, a couple of people working in the background. So you only see the end product, but there's a lot goes into it.
yeah.
I don't. I just turn up and be that old guy.
And one of the things you've done in your career that would have seemed, and it didn't look like it, but it would have seemed really hard to do. What was it like acting next to something that didn't exist but looks like cheese string?
All right. Well, no, that was easy. That was a TV commercial which we shot in Prague in the Czech Republic in 2009, I think. And the when myself and James Carcaterra we played the two security guards, we were sitting opposite Mr. Strings, but they had sitting in front of us an actor wearing a mad cheese strings hat, and then they drew Mr. Strings in later. So he was the boy, the other actor. He was I can't remember the fella's name. He was sitting in front of us, and he was just answering the questions that I was putting to him. So actually, that was a beautiful wee job. The director Jim Gilchrist, he had auditioned me for something else where I went down to London and I auditioned for the part of a Scottish football manager.
Yeah,
And he says, I loved it. Your Scottish football manager was brilliant, who was not a million miles away from Glasgow and Alec Ferguson. And he says, and I saw you in that, and you were always going around inside my head. I mean, I never got that part. But when Cheese Strings came along, he went, get me that guy. And I I mean, that was a great job to get. But Jim Gilchrist is a great director. He loves to improvise. And I'll let you in a wee secret. I'm not a real actor. I'm not a trained actor. Don't tell anybody. But so I haven't been given that 2 3 years of training where I love working with actors. They do the same thing again and again, and they'll give you something different. What I do is done much more out of instinct and happy wee lovely accidents. And I'm very good at living in the moment and accepting the reality
yeah.
and playing it straight. That's my wee gift I've been given. And it works. Sometimes it doesn't work, but a lot of time it works.
And one of the things you've done that I would say is the greatest panel show that Scotland has ever produced. What was it like working on and being a guest on the amazing Radio Scotland panel show Breaking the News?
Well, I love it. I love doing it, and it's a wonderful gift. And it, what's interesting about it, the ability to be funny, and I've been working as a stand-up now for 30 years, right? I've done thousands of gigs in thousands of different places in front of thousands of people. And you never kind of know what you're going to get. And you kind of get good at that. You kind of get, you know how to do it. But what breaking the news allows you to do, it allows you to not only take that skill and that experience, it also builds around it a structure and an ability to bring so much more to it. So maybe a lot of people don't know this, but I'm very bookish. I read a lot,
Yeah,
and I went to university, and I've got a university degree. People don't know that because I hide my erudition quite well. But what breaking the news allows me to do, it allows me to get really in depth to the news stories which are happening that week, and approach them from a lot of different angles and bring a lot of different things to them. And it looks or sounds like, I mean, it allows me to show off a wee bit, to let everybody see how clever I am. And I think that's what I said. That's why I work on that show. I work really hard when we record some of the shows. I've always got a lot of stuff I've prepared.
yeah,
And then you just go on. And the host, Des Clark, is very generous. I love working with wee Des. He's a very, very generous and giving comedian. He's not a selfish egotist like myself. He's very giving, he's very generous,
yeah,
and he listens.
yeah,
And he's perfect for somebody like me,
yeah,
who's just a big egotistical loony, and it works.
yeah. And why do you reckon that the show has worked so well on both radio and then TV?
Well, it's the team behind it. It's the production team behind it. Dave Flynn and Lauren and Chris Coletti and all of the other people behind the scenes at BBC Scotland. The amount of work that they put into it, the amount of preparation. They've created a beautiful big synergy where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, and everybody comes and does their job. And I do my bit, I do my wee bit, and behind the scenes for days before it, everybody's done their bit, and that's why it's so good. It's a brilliant team effort.
And because you're so good at breaking the news, do you reckon you'll go on to appear on other panel shows?
I would love to do that. I think what happens in this business, I've been in this business long enough, Tom, to know that you've kind of got to get on people's radars. So what happens is, I've done very well in my career. I've always made a living for the last 20 years anyway, made a good living. But there's that wee extra bit of magic fairy dust that you've got to put out there, and hopefully somebody else, maybe higher up the food chain, will go, you know what, I could use what you've got, big man. Let's have you on this and give you a chance. And I'll come and do my bit. And if it works, fine. And if it doesn't, that's unfortunate. You would hope you would get a, another chance again. But I just keep doing my thing. The way I look at it, I'm just flinging mud at a wall, and some of it sticks. And if somebody else thinks I could do a job for them, oh, yeah, I would go and do that.
Yeah, because I think you would be incredible on Taskmaster, or you'd be a really good Taskmaster if you ever did a local Scottish version of Taskmaster.
Totally, totally. But I think with Taskmaster, with the televisual thing, a lot of how it works is the people who are on it are known to the general public. So I get recognised down the local Asda, you know. You might have seen me in Tesco. So, it, so when Taskmaster comes on, people see people they know. So the general public sees people they know being very clever. And I've never managed to quite get that profile. If I ever did, it would be great and fine. But you know, hope springs eternal. Well, there's breath in your body. There's hope in your heart. You know.
Yeah, but there's always with Chappell, there's always one person that there's semi well known, but it's like, for instance, Sam Campbell was on the latest series. He's known for bits and bobs, but he's not as well known in the UK as you would think. So I think there's still, and it looks like the show's never going to end. So I think by the end of it, everyone that's ever done comedy in their entire life will appear on it at some point. So we can
Oh
only.
well, here's hoping.
And one of the things you've done as recently been announced by a Swedish company to make a reboot of it. What was it like appearing in an episode of the 2006 onwards crime drama Rebus?
Oh well, Rebus. My part in Rebus, funny enough, it was only 2 lines. My character didn't even have a name. He was known as Scuzzy Hotel Owner. And funny enough, when I did that, that was Karen Gillan's, who became very famous. That was her first acting job. And I remember at the read through, everybody else all knew each other. And Karen and I didn't know anybody. Now, me and Karen were speaking to each other, and she had just come out of drama school and just had got a big agent. And she went like amazing, stratospheric after that. And it was just good to get. I think how I got that, I didn't have an agent then.
Yeah,
I think it was 2006.
yeah,
Now, I never had an agent, but the people who casted that was John and Rose Hubbard, the Hubbards, who were the greatest casting directors, are one of the biggest.
yeah.
No disrespect to Nina Gold and people like that, but John and Rose Hubbard were very high up in the business. I mean, they casted a lot of things. And I didn't have an agent. And they used to cast a show called Taggart,
Yeah.
which is a Scottish detective show. And I always wanted to be in that, right? Even though I didn't deserve to be in it, I'd never done anything. I mean, that's delusion. And I kept phoning Hubbard, and they kept telling me, go away, go away. This Scottish guy. And what happened was, I got a phone call from Hubbard's and they says, would you like to come and meet John Hubbard up at STV Studios? And I went up and I met him, and he was a lovely fella, a lovely old fella. And he said, Raymond, the only reason I'm seeing you, we don't normally see talent direct, but can you stop bloody calling us up? You know, and it was beautiful. It gave me a job. It gave me that job just to shut me up. That's how I got it. He says, I admire your determination, but stop calling us. Get yourself an agent.
Yeah. And with the announcement of this reboot, remake type thing by a Swedish company, do you reckon that you'll get to reprise your character in an episode of the new version?
Well, everybody needs a scuzzy hotel owner. I would hope so. If there is, if there is any, I think that general character type, just a manky old, it could be a manky old chef or something. It may not a hotel he run. Maybe he's running a greasy spoon cafe, or maybe he runs a dingy bar. So he could be a scuzzy bar owner, a scuzzy cafe owner. It could be a manky old taxi driver. Hey, I'm flexible.
And one of the things you've done is class, was classed as a soap opera. I'm not too sure whether or not it's classed as a soap opera anymore due to the changing of times that the show airs. What was it like appearing in an episode of one of Scotland's greatest soaps River City.
Well, that was a brilliant job, right? I I I played the registrar at Fat Bob and Tatty's wedding. So the wonderful Tom Urey, he gets married in it to Tatiana. She Polish or Ukrainian, I don't recall. And I was the registrar at their wedding. And when I went into wardrobe fitting, I'll let you in a wee secret. I'd put on quite a bit of weight then, right? I was eating a lot and maybe drinking a bit too much, and they had to go out and buy me another suit. They went into Marks and Spencer's and bought the biggest suit in the shop
Yeah.
to fit me. So that was first of all, right? And you know the camera puts £10 on you anyway. And what was brilliant about it, I played the registrar and I had a book in front of me with all the lines. I didn't even have to read the bloody lines. It was brilliant because I'm just doing a wedding ceremony. It was brilliant. I didn't even have to learn the lines. Here I'm standing here in a brand new Marks and Spencer suit, looking $1,000,000 with the lines right in front of me. It was brilliant. That was a great job.
Yeah. And because you've been on TV and you've done radio and you've done on lots of things, do you ever sit back and watch yourself and listen to yourself, or do you do what some people do and make sure they run as furthest away from their TV than they've ever seen before in their life?
Um, I, 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 I think I'm very self-critical of what I do. Um, if I thought I've done well in it, I I watch the odd thing. For instance, I just this morning I saw a short film again that I made with Ed Byrne about 14 years ago, and it was called My Beast Friend. And I'll email you. I'll copy you in the link, and you can probably put it out so people can see it. It's only 2 minutes long, and I think it's brilliant. And I play this cat. I play Ed Byrne's cat, and I'm a big, fat, foul-mouthed, annoying, objectionable cat. So it's Glasgow that if he was a cat, right? I like to think I've got a range as an actor. I don't really. I just do my thing. And it's brilliant. It's a brilliant wee 2 minute film. And it's probably because it's so short I could watch it, but it's something, again, it was a real team effort. They've dressed me up as a cat. You watch it after the interview, and I think it's delightful. There's so I don't kind of watch myself, but there's things I've done which I think are amazing. I mean, I made a short film called Home, which won Best Short Film at the BAFTAs in 1999. And I think that's just brilliantly done. And but I don't sit and kind of watch myself. I kind of cringe at myself when I see myself kind of on screen because I'm not classically handsome, Tom. You know, I'm a type. I'm a character actor, which means I'm ugly but interesting.
And with you having your short film win a BAFTA, do you reckon that it's important that BAFTAs and all awards also show off the young independent short film category, not just your big heavy blockbusters or your films that have got like X, Y, and Z famous
Well,
names?
that's what's good about it. I mean, that when Home was funded by Channel 4, so it was actually quite a big deal. I mean, they put a lot of money into it, and the director and the writer, and when it won a BAFTA, I was happy for them. It was great to be involved in it. So it's great when stuff gets recognised, and it's like what you're doing. You're doing your thing. You're bringing passion to it. You're creating content, and you hope that you're planting a flag and hope people will watch it, and then you'll move forward. And 10 years from now, you'll be doing something different, but it's all part of your if you like, what you've done, your retrospective. And people, creative people, regardless of loads of money or honours and awards, just want to make something, just want to tell stories.
Yeah.
Because whether we're all sitting having a drink and somebody's telling a story and they got everybody else in the palm of their hand, hanging on every word, whether you do that sitting about in somebody's living room or in a tent up the campsies or somewhere or in the pub or online in a Zoom meeting, you can tell a story by writing a book, by making a film, by writing a song and singing a song. These things all means different things to different people, and they'll take something from that. That's what I love to do. I love to just tell stories and let people into my mad life and give them permission to laugh at themselves. And because all the troubles in the world are caused by people taking themselves too seriously. And what I do, I go on stage and I just talk and I
Yeah.
let people in and I make myself ridiculous. And they go, he's a fool, this guy, but it's okay to be a fool. And then they go, God, I thought I had problems. And then they go away feeling better about themselves.
Yeah. And when you're going on stage doing your stand-up, are you one of those people that sits at a desk, writes or types, or are you the Billy Connolly method and just walks on, said whatever you like, and by the next 10 minutes you'll forgot what you've just said?
I mean, to be mentioned in the same breath as Billy Connolly is high praise indeed, but I do deploy the Billy Connolly method. I think about a lot of things, and a lot of what I do grows organically over time on stage, and that's pretty much how I do it. I try and write, and I try and apply myself, and I'll come up with some ideas, but it's normally just a couple of lines which I'll develop. It's not something which is fully formed.
Yeah. And do you are you the type of person that likes to follow the up and coming world of comedy, not just in Scotland, but like all over the Britain and
Yeah, I tend to, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I, I love watching comics. I'll be in a club, I see a lot of live comedians. And when you see somebody who's really good living in the moment, really got it together, it's amazing. And you see somebody else just starting out and they don't really know what they're doing, but there's something really compelling about watching somebody on stage doing stand up fighting for their life. You know, they're totally made themselves vulnerable and naked on that stage. And you can tell they're feeling the fear and but they're just getting on with it. They're doing it. They've got something that's carrying them through. That's very compelling. Ego and delusion will carry you for so long because I know it did for me.
yeah,
Completely deluded. Looking back at myself 25, 30 years ago, and I can thank God I get through that.
yeah,
But you live and learn and you become, I don't know, you just learn. You
yeah.
just keep learning. It's experience.
And do you reckon that because of the fact that stand-up's now not just this thing where you're in a club and you're watching this, it's now become a semi well recognised thing with streaming services and TV. Do you reckon that helps more people who want to do it see that they can do it because there's more options of the type of comedy, or do you reckon that it makes people too nervous and overwhelmed that there's too much and two different types of comedy out there?
Well, okay. I think it makes it more real and it gives people something to shoot for. So, yeah, absolutely. Comedy's easy to put on, right? Because you don't need to build a set or anything like that. You just hand a guy a microphone and shine a light on him,
Yeah,
the person. And great comics make it look easy. So there's a certain point where you say, people will watch and go, I can do that. Aye, okay. Go and do it then. Let's just do it. right? There is no try. Yoda, do or do not. There is no try, right? And when you do it, you'll do it. You'll do whatever comes out. It'll be whatever it is,
yeah,
and you would hope that you'll learn from the experience. You'll evolve and you'll get better,
yeah,
or it'll be so horrendous you'll never do it again. So that's everything. Normal distribution. These are all the different outcomes. But yes, people can see it. And people get something to shoot for. They go, I want to be on live at the Apollo. I want to be on a panel show, mock the week, 8 out of 10 cats. Brilliant. Go for it. It gives you something to shoot for. Because here's an interesting thing. It's far more tangible now in terms of what I was saying earlier in the interview. For me, stand up wasn't tangible. I wasn't even that aware of comics. I knew who Billy Connolly was, but I thought he was some planet, in its own solar system. I never connected that I could ever do that.
yeah,
So definitely, because it's out there, it's more real for a lot of the people that come into it. And age, gender, race, sex, religion, whatever, is no barrier to entry. All you have to do is put a microphone up to your mouth and speak in front of an audience. And you can do it live in front of an audience. You can do it on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Bebo, Teletext, CFAX, I don't know, all the social media channels.
It'd be interesting to see people try and do stand up on CFAX. That'd be like,
Yeah, I found that quite difficult back in the day.
yeah. And one of the things that you've been in that was I don't know whether it still is, was re-airing not so long ago on the TV channel that not many people have access to due to Ariel. That's TV. What was it like appearing in one of Scotland's most highly regarded as the Scotland's greatest sitcom of all time, which beats Only Fools and Horses, which is correct. What was it like being in Rab C. Nesbitt?
That was brilliant. I mean, I did 2 episodes of Rab C. Nesbitt, and that was to be. I grew up watching Rab C. Nesbitt. Rab C. Nesbitt is a Scottish icon. And I remember the first day on set, I saw Gregor Fisher, who's a lovely man, standing at the door. So when you shoot television shows and films, they get trailers and all that. The big stars have got trailers. People like myself, we have to share a trailer with 14 people and stuff like that. But Gregor had his own trailer, and it's up 3 steps, and he was standing at the door of his trailer in full Rab C. Nesbitt regalia, like an iconic golden statue, smoking a cigarette. And I went, and I saw him, and I was going, ah, and I went, good morning, Gregor. And he went, good morning, Jonathan Dearby. My name's Raymond. I went, that's fine. That's fair enough. No problem. You don't need to know everybody. And he was being a bit, and he's a wonder. He's just an actor. He's one of these actors. Just ah, see, when I was at university, I did acting with the Strathclyde Theatre Group and part of Strathclyde University Theatre Group, and I met these actors, and they were the most interesting people in the world. They knew things. They talked about everything. They had no filter. It wasn't like going to somebody's house for dinner and minding your P's and Q's and no want to offend anybody. This was no holds barred. This was loads of bevy and whatever, and in the pub and talking about anything and everything and completely unrestrained. And at the time, I was only, what was I, 20 years old, 19, 20. and it blew my mind. This is how I want to live my life. Now, the sad thing is, I'd already met my first wife by then, and the idea was I was going to go and be an accountant. But this was a game changer. And sadly, unfortunately, for my first wife and my daughter was born by then, that I had made a decision consciously at 19 years old to throw it all away and run away and join the circus, which wasn't the plan.
Yeah. And would you say that comedy, as of now and before, is still the new and current and future rock and roll?
No, rock and roll's rock and roll. I went and saw Bruce Springsteen last year in Rome, and it was awesome. That's the third time I've seen him. Comedy is rock and roll. It's see when you're really in the moment and you're doing it, and you're you've created that really emotional connection with an audience. That's a beautiful thing.
And one of the things you've done that is, I think personally, is amazing and should be released on DVD, whether or not they're going to make it Blu-ray or 4K or make it look even more amazing than it already did. What was it like appearing in the sitcom Legit?
Do you know something? The amount of people who saw that, and even now, that was made in 2004 or five. That nearly 20 years ago now, right? It only ran for one season. I mean, and I think it was the first time ever that a BBC sitcom didn't get a second series, because the BBC, it was always an unwritten rule that they would give a sitcom a second series to let it bed in, and I never got that. And I have the DVD of it. I bought it because I got them all together for to make a show reel for my Spotlight page. So I that was it. The character I played was this guy called Happy Bob, who was when he was a wee bit of simple soul who had been dropped in his head when he was a kid or something. So I don't know whether that was the backstory, but he was simple and kind of no filter, but very happy, very optimistic guy. And it was a good character. I mean, and someone who also auditioned for it was the very brilliant Gavin Mitchell, who played Bobby the Barman in Still Game. And after we'd done Legit, Gavin very kindly, very generously, we were in the pub, he said to me, Raymond, I saw Legit, how you played Happy Bob. Now, he'd auditioned for the same part. He says, brilliant, best man got a job. And coming from Gavin, high praise indeed. It was a good wee sitcom. Should it have got a second series? I think yes. It didn't. Them's the breaks.
And do you reckon that because of we're in the era of bringing things back, rebooting them, do you reckon that Legit could work now if you revived it and continued the story?
I'm not so sure. I think those characters were real, and I think it worked. I'd come back to the same criteria. I think it worked. I think it was only fools and horses, pretty much in Scotland. I think the team behind it, Robert Florence and Ian Connell, they're brilliant writers. They've done a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
Burniston and Two Doors Down. Did they do that? Or did they add the Scots and stuff? They're, yeah, could it be rebooted? I don't know. Could it work? Who knows? And that's that in the hands of the gods, the commissioning gods.
Yeah.
And it's up to Robert and Ian to, what do you call it?
Yeah.
Pitch it to power. And I don't know, that's all voodoo and black magic and the black arts. You just hope that when something maybe gets made, they'll go, oh well, Take what Raymond's got. We need an objectionable, scuzzy old guy. That's who I am now. So you hope there's room for me there. But there's a lot of objectionable, scuzzy old guys in Scotland. But I'm the best objectionable, scuzzy old guy in my price bracket.
And for people out there that have got to this point in the interview and are like over the moon, which if they're over the moon, they're not living on planet Earth. What advice would you give up and coming comedians and up and coming people into the industry of acting and comedy? What advice would you give them to be able to help them be more motivated to go further and beyond?
Simply do the work. We've all got dreams. We maybe have a vision of where we would all like to be. Simply do the work, like what you're doing. You're doing the work. You're making these programs. You're doing the work. In 10 years, you'll have your own chat show, speaking to me when I'm a big Hollywood star like Brian Cox. And you say, remember back in the day, do the work. Just do the work. Learn to do it. Learn. Don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Get outside your comfort zone. You'll have difficult times. Love them, learn from them, and get better as a result. Just do the work. Do it. Go in, collaborate. If you're an actor, collaborate with people, make stuff, film it on your phone. There's so much access to technology now that it's easier now than it ever was, I think, to make stuff. So do it. If you want to do stand up, go and do it. Go and find an open mic night and just go and do it. And stay determined. And if people say you're rubbish and they don't want you, don't take it personally. Just keep on going. But just keep doing it. If I've been told I'm rubbish, I'm no funny, I've got a head like a biscuit tin, I'm too fat and I'm guttural. I've been told, ah, you know what? What people think about you is none of your business. Just keep doing your thing and let your light shine.
And that is brilliant advice there. And with your career, not just keep on going, but ever expanding and getting higher and higher and higher. What things have you got coming up that people can either view online or go out and sit on their bum to see you in person?
Well, I'm always gigging, so somewhere every weekend, somewhere on the planet, Raymond Mearns is doing a gig. He's up in that stage and he's fighting for his life, right? So I'm always gigging. I don't really put a lot of my gigs online. I'll just leave it up to you to find out where I am. Now, I'm listed and all that somewhere. I'm doing my Edinburgh Fringe show again. I'm doing that this year, so that's coming up in August. There's a couple of things. There's always wee auditions for short films. There's always stuff going on. The breaking the news stuff, it's always there. It's ongoing. I'm going to record another one of them, I think, on the 7th of March. We're in the process of the Glasgow thing is the project at the moment, which seems to be gaining some traction. We're just working away on that. That's taken up some of our time. And that's it. It's just an ongoing, it's a journey. And it's fun. And you're there and you're doing it. And you know, when you're a millionaire and you're in Hollywood living in your hilltop mansion, when you've made it and you've got retired supermodels living in the house with you, you'll look back to now and say, that's when I had purpose. That's when I was doing it.
Yeah.
That's when I was on the way up. Not when you've made it, sitting overweight by the pool. It's enjoy the moment, enjoy the journey.
Yeah. And with your career ever expanding, is there a particular program or particular thing that you're currently aspiring to try and find a way to get into or onto?
No, no. it's not especially. I think if there's a lot being made, there's a lot going on, and my agent, my theatrical agent, if he can get me an audition, I'll try my best to get that job. But there's nothing specifically because there's a lot of brilliant stuff out there, and you just never know. And that's what happens. It's a real accident. You get a break and it works for you. I've had a lot of breaks and I've made a lot of good stuff and worked with a lot of brilliant people. And I've just I've done my thing at my level and it made a good living in it.
And one of the things that Scotland is, one of the things, there's many, over its history of existing as a plot of land, shall we say. Why do you
Scotland is a plot of land.
reckon,
Wash your mouth out with soap, sir.
why do you reckon that the Edinburgh Fringe is so beloved, not just
Oh,
in not just in Scotland and Britain, but around the globe?
totally. It was the first the Edinburgh International Festival. The Fringe came from that. So you had the snobs, the theatre types, and all the tenors and all that, and the opera people and dancers, and they were doing their thing. And the Fringe grew out of that and it was the first and it became the biggest arts festival in the world.
Yeah,
And everybody who's anybody in the entertainment world, a lot of them came out of the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. And now all over the world, Melbourne Festival, Perth Festival, all of these comedy festivals, Kilkenny, the Cat Laugh Festival, and all this,
yeah,
they all came out of that. It was the first and it was the biggest and it's still the biggest. And to be recognised there
yeah,
gives you because the whole world, all the commissioners and TV people, everybody's there and they're on the lookout for the next big thing. And that's why everybody loves it. It's earned its place
yeah.
in the pantheon of festivals. It's the big one. It's the one everybody has done and will continue to do.
Yeah. And do you reckon that you'll be doing the Edinburgh Fringe for years to come?
I certainly hope so. Certainly hope so. I'll just carry on doing my thing. If they offer me a room, I'll go and I'll stand out every night and do my thing.
And so we've come towards the end of this amazing, glorious. I've not yet swallowed the dictionary, so I haven't found any better words than amazing or glorious. One day that dictionary will be eaten. I'll eat it with some gravy. It'll
Well,
make
actually, something Kevin Bridges does is he learns a new word every day. So he and he go into the dictionary and find a word and learn what it means and learn how to deploy the word.
yeah.
And see after a year, oh, people will think you're Shakespeare. Kevin does that. He learns a new word every day.
Yeah. Well, he is as brilliant as Shakespeare. Uh, well, he's alive. Shakespeare's dead, so I don't think you can insult Shakespeare. Well, you can. He's dead, so we can insult him. But Kevin Bridges is as worthy to be matched against Shakespeare because Kevin, well, he loves Bridges, but he is also amazing. And so, as we come towards the end of the interview, this is your opportunity to tell people where they can find you, but don't give away your home address.
Well, you can normally find me in the Parkhead Ford shopping centre or something like that. But I would say listen to listen to the Glasgow podcast and just Google my name. I've done loads of things, and you'll see me popping up in things, and you'll go, "Oh, there's that guy." I've done loads of things, and just look out for me. I'll be coming to a shopping centre near you.
And so there we have it. Now, if you want to see more stand-up from Raymond, YouTube him because of the law, and it's all worth watching. You can be there for 3 hours, 12 hours, or you can be there for 4 years and not realise what day it is because you've enjoyed it that much and you probably need to drink because you've cried so much of laughing you've drained your face. Don't do that. Just be safe about
Yeah,
it.
live your life. Go on with your life. Don't sit watching me.
And so, with the world of Tom Mason, that is me. Obviously, you can see my stuff across all 20 YouTube channels, 13 podcasts, and my website. I know it's a lot, but suck it up. I'm going to be doing more. Who knows why I do more? So don't ask that question because you'll not get an answer. Because neither do I know why I do too much. It's a question for my brain. I don't think that knows either. So try and find an answer. But I'll have to go and find the answer from somewhere. I'll probably find it in the Alps. I'll never get there, but it'll probably be up there somewhere. And so you can see more interviews from me in the future. This year is going to be the year of more interviews, like every year. But there'll be more from me, and there might even be some more stuff on Tom's Comedy Club. Stay tuned for that because there might be more. Well, there is going to be a weekly radio stuff, but there might be some other exciting bits and bobs that you wouldn't have expected. So, thank you, Raymond, for letting me interview you.
Absolute pleasure, Tom. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. And thank you guys for watching. And remember, no, I've forgotten.